Hi, I'm Chef Gail Sokol and welcome to my kitchen. Today you're in for a holiday treat, a candied cranberry sour cream pound cake. Huh? Pretty good. That'll really jazz up your brunches and your holiday festivities. Doesn't matter what you're celebrating, it is amazing. And I have a video on candied cranberries and they're awesome. And here they are. And they make a great syrup as well. We're going to use the syrup on a glaze on top. And I have these which we're going to fold into our batter. And it's a creaming method batter. But before I get started, I would like you to push that notification button because I want you to become a subscriber. I want to have you in my kitchen every week. I don't want you to miss any of my videos or my tips. I really don't. I like having you here. All right, let's get started. So if you know, I try to get things done in an orderly fashion, and we usually try to have a mise en place. We try to get everything in its place because there's a lot of little steps. Nothing major, but just little steps. First thing, I have a 10-inch false bottom angel food pan or a tube pan, anything you want. This is a big one, so it's 10 inches in diameter. Make sure you're prepared. And I've sprayed it with nonstick cooking spray. Now, I also have preheated my oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, if you did make my candied cranberry recipe, the candied cranberries need to be completely cool. So you can make them the day before or about an hour before. And it makes a great syrup as well once you strain the cranberries out, and we're going to use that for our frosting. Not all of it, but some. All right, the next step in the creaming method is we want to get our dry ingredients combined and we want to homogeneously blend them. So I have a whisk and I have 3 cups of all-purpose flour, and I'm going to whisk into that 1 teaspoon of baking powder, half a teaspoon of baking soda, and half a teaspoon of salt. And I get that all in there and I whisk it up. The sugar is separate in the creaming method. The sugar you want to help get the butter aerated. So you create air cells or air bubbles in your butter so that the baking powder and baking soda that are in here can work together with those air cells as team players. And they actually create fabulous leavening for your cake and a nice fine crumb that makes it nice and tender. All right, so we're all set here. I put that aside with a large spoon because we're going to be adding that later. And in the meantime, I have 2 sticks of unsalted butter that I have softened, and I'm putting them into my electric mixing bowl. And I have 2 cups of granulated sugar. And that's not too much for a big cake like this. You need it. I'm going to pour that in there. And then we're going to cream, and that means paddle attachment. You ever hear the word creaming? Think of the paddle. That's what you want. You never want the whip attachment. And you're going to be adding air, but not like beating air like you would egg whites, but you're going to be forcing air with the sugar's help, because the sugar's like sandpaper, and it actually forces air into that butter, and the butter, which is normally yellow when you buy it in the store, will turn white, and that means it's been properly aerated. So this is going to take a couple minutes. So we have one more thing to do before we start adding some other ingredients. So I have 1 cup of sour cream, all right, and this is whole milk sour cream. So if you want it, if you're on a diet and you want to lighten this up a little, you could go low fat if you want. It's not a big deal. Now I have the zest from 1 lemon, and I'm going to put that in there. Zest is very, I don't know, it's a little temperamental. When you put it in dry ingredients, it clumps up. When you put it in with the butter and the sugar, it clumps up. So here I'm going to put it in with, this is what's known as my wet ingredient here, along with my eggs. Sometimes I add it to my eggs, but this is the perfect vehicle to mix this in because it gets really blended very nicely. You don't see any lemon zest in here. It's completely in, which is perfect. So in the meantime, I have 4 eggs. Never crack your eggs directly into an electric mixer because you'll end up with shell. Trust me on this one. It happens. Eggs crack, you know, not very uniformly. So crack them all in a liquid measuring cup or something with a spout. And then if you see a shell, you can grab it out before it goes into your batter. Now, once you get light, sort of a lighter, almost white color to your butter, again, it's going to take a couple of minutes. You want to add your eggs, but you always add them one at a time, and you don't add the next one until the first one is relatively blended into your butter and your sugar. So this is what's creating an emulsion. Now let me show you very quickly. You can see that the butter, it's not totally perfectly white, but it's getting there. Let me grab some. See it? It's not as yellow as it was before. All right. So now I think we're ready to add our eggs. Okay, a little baby bit of butter got out of there. We're going to grab that and put him back in. He wants to be part of this cake too. So what I like to do is once I see one yolk go in, I assume that's one egg. All right, that's it. One egg, let it beat, let it continue, and you'll see it'll start getting creamier. It won't be an emulsion yet. We need to get all our other ingredients first. But this is the basis of the creaming method of mixing. This is one of like 4 methods that bakers use. And when you read it directions and you see softened butter added to sugar, you know that's the creaming method. One more egg. All right, and I keep going until all my eggs are in. And then once I'm done, these two, my liquid ingredient, my sour cream, and my dry ingredients are alternated into the egg mixture. One almost done, 3/4 done with our eggs. And the eggs are also adding volume. So the butter is getting nice and creamy and looking really good. Now the rule is when you add your dry ingredients and your wet ingredient, you always start with dry and end with dry. And I'll show you how to do that. Adding my last egg. Let me just show you what that looks like. At this point, you can almost mix as you want to. If you up the speed, nothing bad is going to happen. But once you add your flour, you can start creating gluten. And gluten creates toughness and structure. So you don't want to overmix once the flour goes in. See how fluffy that looks? It may look a little broken up because it's not a full emulsion yet. And an emulsion has fat ingredients and water-based ingredients that are held together by an emulsifying agent. And in this case, it's our eggs. That's why eggs are so important. All right, so on low speed, or you're going to get it right back in your face, I'm going to add about 1/3 of the dry ingredients. And I don't measure, I just eyeball. About 1/3 of the dry ingredients. Get those in there with a spoon. They will get mixed in. And then we're going to add 1/2 of our sour cream. So about 1/2 cup of sour cream. All right. So once that goes in, and you see there's a little flour on top, just sort of shove it in there. Get in there, you guys. And then 1/2 of the sour cream, and remember we have our beautiful lemon zest. This is a really nice rich pound cake. And because it has sugar, a good amount of sugar in it, that cranberry, the candied cranberries, are going to give it a nice little tartness that you're really going to enjoy. Especially with the holidays, it's lovely. It's just lovely to serve. When you cut into it, it's beautiful. All right, so let me show you. Every once in a while, you can stop and scrape down the sides of the bowl. But look at how lovely that's looking. It's looking less, sort of coagulated, like congealed, and it looks actually smoother and creamier. And that's because we've built our emulsion a little bit. But it's not completely perfect until we get everything else in. All right, so now another 1/3 of dry ingredients. All right. And again, watch how your speed, you want to keep everything at low speed because this is where you don't want to overmix and develop too much gluten. Every baked good needs a little gluten because you want it to hold up. You don't want a cake that falls once you get it out of the oven. That would be no good. So, okay, so we save a third. And then what I'm going to do is use my rubber spatula to get the remainder of this sour cream and lemon zest in here. All right. Get that in. And this is where, when I take this batter out and put it in the pan, you're going to see how beautiful and how creamy it looks. It's almost going to look like a frosting, like a buttercream. It's lovely. So get the little last bit in there. And then, yes, you are correct, the final 1/3 of our flour mixture. All right, beginning and ending with flour. This is the way the typical creaming method is. So you can read a recipe over before making it and actually figure out, oh yeah, this is the creaming method. Super, super easy. And you'll know exactly what to expect each and every time. All right, so we still have some flour to go in here. Push that in. And if you see that there's still some flour around the edges, pick it up. Oh, this is a beautiful, beautiful batter, folks. You're gonna love this. And it's big, so make sure you do have that 10-inch in diameter pan. If you wanna use a smaller pan, you could probably make a few cupcakes or this plus a smaller pan, like an 8-inch pan, depending on what you're doing. But I'm gonna give it one more go around and done. Okay, one and done. Let's get this out of here. And this is gonna bake about an hour to an hour and 10 minutes. Oh, isn't that beautiful batter? It almost looks like a buttercream, right? Now remember, I always find, and it is true, there's a little blip, a little like bump in the bottom of these electric mixers. So you always want to go around with the rubber spatula before you put it into your pan. Make sure you do that because it really, really helps distribute any dry ingredients into the batter. All right. So I'm now going to add my candied cranberries. And this is one full recipe. It's about 2 1/3 cups. And I'm just going to sort of scatter them in there. We're going to fold them in. They tend to stick together because they're sweet and they sort of like to join together with the other candied cranberries. And I'm trying to keep any juice that came out of them away, but there's really not much juice because I drained them. All right. Okay. And now you're going to lightly fold them in. Very festive. I'm just going to fold them from the outside. So you go around with your rubber spatula up through the bottom. And when you get it mostly folded in, you're going to fill your pan. Okay? And if you get some, red striping, don't worry about it. It'll look beautiful. It'll be beautiful, okay? So now I'm going to put that in there. It's a lot of batter. So watch what I do. I'm going to give, because it's very thick, I'm going to sort of put a dollop of batter all around because it is a thick batter. And if the cranberries, some are more in the batter than others, don't worry about it. It's supposed to look like that. It's a stripy candied cranberry pound cake. And we're just going to go around. Try not to put the batter up on the tube part because we want the batter to climb up as it bakes. And just sort of give it a push into that pan. Oh, it's a lot of batter. You will not have to lift weights tonight, folks. And it's beautiful. It looks so festive. So festive. And it's a great way to use cranberries, not just cranberry sauce. Interesting cranberry stuff. So just go around again. It's not going to come up to the top. Don't worry. This fills maybe not even half of the pan, but it will rise. Do not worry about that. I'm going to get the rest of it in. Scrape off my rubber spatula and get all the way around there. Get all the good stuff out because everyone's got to go in the cake. Okay. And remember, my oven is preheated to 350. Now I have my offset spatula and I'm just going to show you, I'm going to tilt it. I'm just going to spread even. Just go around evenly without getting it up the sides. Just even it out a little. Doesn't have to be perfect. The oven will do the work for you. And if you mix properly, the emulsion will rise perfectly and you will be very happy because your chemical leaveners will all work together. It's like a little football team in here. All right, into the oven, 350 degrees Fahrenheit for between 1 hour and 1 hour and 10 minutes. Use a small sharp knife to put it into the center. When it comes out clean, take it out of the oven. So my candied cranberry sour cream pound cake is out of the oven. It has cooled down. It's a little warm. I took it out of the pan, and that's actually the best time to take it out of the pan. It's on a serving platter that is beautiful to actually highlight the red jewel tones of the cranberries. So now we're going to make a nice glaze, and we're going to use the syrup that came from the candied cranberry recipe that you can get online. So I have 1 1/4 cups of confectioner's sugar, and you don't need to put it through a sieve unless it's lumpy. And I just go through it a little bit in case you might find a few lumps. Usually confectioner's sugar does have a little cornstarch in it to prevent lumps from occurring, but sometimes things happen, okay? So 1 1/4 cups, you're gonna have to use your judgment how much of your liquid, your syrup, you wanna add. So I'm gonna add almost 2 tablespoons. It's gonna be very thick, and you're just gonna keep mixing it until you get the consistency you want. Clearly very thick. So I'm going to add a little more. This is not something you do quickly. This is something that a good pastry chef and a good baker will actually do slowly. Okay. And you could add, if you don't want to add the cranberry syrup, you could add water, milk, even lemon juice, fresh lemon juice, orange juice, schnapps, anything you want. Did you hear me say that? I didn't say that. And whatever you want, whatever you feel like. And you can see it's got a nice cranberry jewel tone to it, really pretty color. All right, so just keep mixing. It's a slow process, but you know, perfection takes time. So when you get like this, people get really crazy and they go, oh my gosh, I need a lot of liquid. Don't do it. Don't do it, just a few drops at a time, because it can turn on you. You have no idea. It'll turn from a nice icing to liquid, and it'll go very, very quickly. And the warmer your cake is, the more it will spread by itself, because the frosting will actually thin out. All right, so I can see it's a little thick. I am going to add a few more drops. All right. We don't want library paste, folks. When I was little, that's what library paste looks like. No Elmer's glue. I don't know what my teacher was thinking. So I'm going to add just a touch more. Okay. And again, take your time doing this. This is not something that is done very, very quickly. All right, I'm going to add a little more. Better to have to add more than not, meaning if you add too much, it's hard to go back, because then you have to start thinking about, oh no, I have to add more sugar. And after a while, it's too sweet. All right, so this is looking good. Now you know it's ready when you hold it up, and it should slowly drizzle off of there. And it is. All right, you see that? It's got a pretty color. It's got the cranberry theme. All right, so I'm going to move this aside. I'm going to bring our cranberry, beautiful candied cranberry sour cream pound cake up. And I'm going to just, I'm not going to drizzle it because it's very thick, but I'm going to sort of not drizzle with my whisk. I can drizzle with my offset. And then if I feel like it, I can spread it. Because if it's warm, it'll spread nicely. I don't like it when you make icings and they just sort of dribble down like water. You really want to make it really pretty. And I may just, because this is nice and thick, I may actually spread it. I may like that better. Oh yeah, oh yeah. You know, sometimes the thickness, the viscosity of your icing will tell you what to do. I like this. I like this. And wait till you see all the cranberries inside. And it may, and mine did, take a little extra longer than an hour and 10 minutes. It will take sometimes 20 to 30 minutes longer depending on your oven. And I have normally a very hot oven, but sometimes you need a little extra because the cranberries, if you don't drain them perfectly from the syrup, they can actually create more liquid, and that you just need a little extra time. But be patient, it will bake, and it'll bake through and be nice. So if you just want to let it drizzle down, I like that. And if you want to go all around the edges and just let it sort of drizzle down a little. Let gravity work and just do that. Okay, and then we're going to cut a piece. Normally I wouldn't cut a piece right away. I would let it firm up because this icing does firm up nicely. But I think we need to see this. We need to cut it open. I want to cut it open. All right. So we're just going to go around and cut it open and make it look real, real pretty. Almost looks like a giant donut, but better. All right. Whoop. There we go. All right. I think we're ready to cut. I think we're ready to cut. All right. So remember, it is warm, so the icing is not going to harden right away. Okay. I'm going to cut a nice big piece just for you. All right, let's see how pretty this looks. Oh, nice. Beautiful. See the cranberries throughout? And it's a little warm. It's a little warm, but look how beautiful that looks. Yummy. Candied cranberry pound cake, sour cream pound cake. So rich and decadent and delicious for the holidays or anytime. I hope you become a subscriber, and I hope you make this great cake. Till next time.